Oh, well, hello there. It's been a minute. How are you? Shall we play a little music? Well, I haven't practiced this morning either, nor have I prepared. I was enjoying the sounds of this kind of open A. So it's an A without the C sharp. You got the A, the root, the 5, and the root again. And then you've got the B, which is the 9. Which kind of implies a 7, but it also leaves it open to... It has more of a minor suggestion. I mean a major suggestion to me. So you've got that 9, and then you've got the 5 again, and then you've got the 5 on the bottom. And then so you've got the A, you've got the F sharp, which suggests a D chord, because that's the 3 and the 5 of a D chord. But then you've got the B, which is the 6 of a D chord, and the 9 again of the A. And the D is the 4 of the A chord. So it just kind of bespeaks A. Pretty little chord here. So you've got the A again. If we relate the rest of the notes to the A, as we did there somewhat, you've got the G sharp, which is the major 7. C sharp, which of course is the 3 of the A again. And then again we have that 9 still. So I guess the whole thing is kind of just an A9. There we've got the A doubled up. We've got the 4, or 11. We've got the 9 again, so that makes sense that it would be an 11. So you've got another. So essentially, partially harmonizing the scale, but without leaving the original chord and not really layering any thirds. bouncing around, not bouncing around. That's all a little bit of a kind of gradually, barely changing the voicings of a A9, A11 chord. If I just suddenly throw in, say, like a B diminished. Or say I throw in the B diminished. That kind of wants to resolve somewhere, doesn't it? Doesn't it sound like it wants to the, back to the A, really. A little G in there. Of course, that kind of calls for a D and strictly diatonic. But if I throw in the minor of the D, relative minor, D, and then I make it a 7. Oh, the E, the guitar, tuned to an E, circle of fourths for the most part. Doesn't work as well with that leaving everything open. If I go, because I've got that G right there that just makes the whole thing a minor. I'm gonna get some pretty dissonant flavors right away. So you've got the 6 of an E. You've got the 2 of an E, and then you've got the a diminished third, really, right? No, excuse me, yeah, a diminished third, because in E it's going to be a G sharp, or minor third, excuse me. And that minor third over that second. Woo! That's spicy. So I could mute those. if we like that. So we're in D. Same thing is kind of happening. So you have the D there, you got the major 7 there, which is the C sharp. Major 7 is a half step away from the octave. Then I've got the F sharp, which is the 3rd of the D. We've got this E that's just kind of intermittently ringing out, which is the 9. So you've got kind of a 6-9 there. And that slide right there seems to kind of harmonically, it doesn't resolve, but it kind of puts the question mark on the question. So you've got the D there and then the G. So you got the 11, the 4, the 11, which is the G, and still have that 9. So 11, 6, 9. You've got the E there with like the 7, which would be the D. Not the major 7, but the dominant 7. Also, often I refer to as the 7. If I say 7, I'm referring to the dominant 7. If I say major 7. I do that, I think, because to say major 7 is used less. Hear that chord in a Neil Young song. So you've got a C. So a dominant 7 right over top of the D. You've got an F. So it's hinting at the F, but you've got that D on the bottom, which would be the 6th of an F major. And then you've got the C, which would be the 5 of an F. And then you have the noise of the plane that just circling around again. So an F sharp is a 3 of a D, the 3rd. So the F speaks a minor 3rd of the root chord if we're in D. I can spice it up there with that A, which is the 5 of the D. and the 3 of an F, major or minor. Well, excuse me, major. Notice when I'm trying to do a ascending and descending legato that this finger, obviously one is much shorter. I have very small hands, but this finger is, you know, attached. It's like it wants to move along with the other finger, which is, you know, when I'm doing something like this, it's really fun to try to find be able to use my other fingers. So this plane, I don't know who it is, but they're deliberately flying right over my head, and they keep trying to, I don't know, they're just flying in a little loop. Probably just out practicing, having a day, but I don't know where they're flying from. Probably one of the farms nearby. But I like to be able to it gives me room to add some notes, build some melody, add some color to it, and then rhythmically put some have some fun, you know, popping some other stuff in. And I like these open fundamentally 7 chords. As I understand it, you know, a 9 chord, a 6 chord even, 9s, 13s, 11s, all stack up as dominant 7 chords and not major 7 chords. So playing that, hinting at that F there, that kind of open, spicy F, and what makes it so spicy is probably that major 7 right there. There's that E ringing out, which is a, you know, half step away from the root of that chord. Which is really nice because it builds that tension. That went way out there. Because we're hinting at a D, the B would be a minor if it was strictly diatonic. We don't have to stay strictly diatonic, but we can if we'd like to. So as I'd like to throw in those notes, and I have those fingers that want to move along with each other, that impedes the precision and the clarity and the confidence of of movement, and then can get in the way by muting other strings or striking strings that I'm not looking to strike, or just having a strangely wagging finger while I'm trying to do other things, which is normal and natural. But there is a classical guitar exercise, or multiple, of course, many, I'm sure I don't know half of them, of trying to work up independence, to strengthen independence of the movement of the fingers. And there's a lot of variations of it, but it would be an ascending, you can make all kinds of variations of it. Essentially, I would try to do an ascending and descending legato exercise where I position fingers that are not moving to not move. And so, and it takes, this is not something that's like really quick to do, to be able to work out. But I would say, for example, if I wanted to do an ascending and descending legato exercise between these two fingers, my middle finger and my pinky finger, I would establish my first and third finger so that they're above and they're not going to move. And instead of positioning my middle finger and my pinky finger on the next string, which if when I do that, I'm going to be pulling into the next string, which is okay, and it seems to be working well there. But I'd take it to the next string over, and then really isolate these pairs of fingers from each other, and then practice. And then I can notice already that I was sliding this finger up onto the so I'm doing the ascending, trying to come straight down on the string, not from an angle, but straight down on it, so that the bone in my little finger hits there. And instead of doing what you'll see a lot of is people will go, and you hear how the note below it rings out a lot, and I may go, you could pull it and kind of lift the finger, but there's the classical exercise I was shown was to pull. You want to have the least amount of movement and isolate only the knuckle, the very end knuckle. Obviously, I'm not able to do that yet. You can see my finger preparing to move up, and the other knuckles. But my finger will not pull off of the fretboard, but pull into the next string. Then I can reverse it, and I can tag those there and then do these. And really work on the precision and having the notes ring out each time. So that's something that will help when I'm going. So I can grab other notes in a scale or a mode or a chord beneath the notes. And so if I wanted to work up something like, one of the things that I would do is I would pause where I was and on each position. So basically I'm playing inversions of a chord, and I'm adding other notes in the chord that aren't in the fundamental triad of the chord. And this one, I'm coming out of it, kind of stepping outside of the diatonic. or hinting at an inverse, like a relative minor scale. Because again, I'm not establishing that with the third, which establishes the major or the minor of the chord. So with the initial one, I don't have that F sharp ringing out. I don't have the F sharp ringing out there, but I still have a 6 and that 9. So that's still hinting at major. But if it doesn't leave out the room for that minor, which would be diatonic. Like that. So it leaves room so I can throw in other notes. And then so essentially I'm doing 5 chords, and then so establishing the 1 and the 5, leaving the third to the imagination while adding other notes in the chord. The 2nd, the 9, the 4th, the 11th, the 13th, the 6th, and the major 7, and the dominant 7.